Do you want to know how to do the best ab exercise on the planet with perfect form? Well, I'll not only show you how to do perfect V-ups like this, I'll also show you a 9-step progression that you can use to work your way into having the flat belly of your dreams. Hey there, Coach Tyler here. Today, I'm gonna show you how to do the world's best core strengthening exercise called the V-up. In fact, in this video, you'll learn how to do perfect V-ups. And if they're currently too hard, I'll show you a 9-step progression that will take you from a complete beginner variation of the V-up all the way to the advanced variation you just saw. So, if you want to have a strong core and a lean flat belly, then make sure you pay close attention, because this video will give you everything you need to get the results you're after. Let's dive right in. This exercise is called the V-up, and I think it's one of the best core exercises for your body, especially if you're looking for body weight exercises that you can do from home. And the reason why is the V-up is a common favorite among athletes, especially people like gymnasts, who are some of the strongest people in the world. But learning how to do the V-up with perfect form will not only strengthen your core, it'll teach you more coordination and balance at the same time. So I'm gonna show you how to do a V-up with perfect form, and then, like I said, we'll go through a bunch of different variations to work you from where you're at all the way to being able to do this with ease, okay? So to start, lay down on your back with the V-up, and we'll work on a position that gymnasts call the hollow position. So what it looks like is this. You're gonna lay down on your back, you're going to press your lower back into the ground, you're gonna drop your ribs. And if you can't feel how to get your ribs to drop down, if they're poking out right here, you can just sit here and cough and hold that cough. That's what gets your ribs and your core into the right position, that braced position. From there, lift your feet off the ground, squeeze your legs together, and point your toes. This is the bottom position of the V-up, only arms overhead. Now, if you can hold this position, then you're ready to start practicing your first V-up. If you can't hold that position, then you'll have to go to one of the other variations that I'll teach you in a sec. If you can do this though, from there, what you're gonna do is squeeze your core muscles and try to bring your toes to your fingertips at the top position, finding a little bit of balance, and then coming down in a slow and controlled way. The hardest thing with V-ups is getting that balance point at the top right, because oftentimes you tip over backwards or you tip over forwards if you don't quite have that. So, starting in that hollow position, lower back pressing the ground, core tight, ribs down, arms overhead, toes pointed. From there, take a big breath in, come to the top position, and come down under control. Inhale as you go up, exhale as you come down, and again, take your time to find that balance. Try and find that balance at the top on every rep. Very difficult. And the more you can compress the top, meaning the more you can bring your toes towards your hands, the more you're gonna feel your core working like crazy. So as you can see, this is a difficult exercise to do. It requires balance, it requires strength, it requires coordination. But if you can do it with good form, and you can do it for sets and reps, you can build amazingly strong core muscles from the comfort of your own home. So that is how to do the V-up with good form. Now, like I mentioned, let's talk about some other ways that you can approach being able to do the V-up. Some different variations that will work you into this, so that way you can make sure you're doing the right exercise for your body. Before I share the 9-step progression for the V-up with you, I wanted to ask you for a quick favor. If you're enjoying this content and want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button and then click that little bell icon so you get an update every time we release a new video just like this. It helps us get noticed more, and our videos will help you transform your body faster. Okay, let's go over the 9 progressions of the V-up right now. All right, the first exercise in our V-up progression is called the alternating reverse crunch. So to do this exercise, lay down on your back. The first thing you want to do is press your lower back into the ground. So if you take your fingers and try to put them under your lower back, you should not be able to get them under there. This is a requirement the entire time you're practicing these variations. Press your lower back into the ground, leave it there. You want to think tall to the top of your head as well, and if you need to, you can put a pillow under your head and let your neck rest there for support if it causes any neck issues, okay? From there, you're going to put your hands down towards the ground. You're going to flip the backs of your hands towards the ground and drive your thumbs towards the ground and drive your fingers towards your heels. So you're going to open your chest, drive your fingers towards your heels like this. Lower back still pushing the ground, okay? From there, you're going to lift one leg to the top position, and you're going to alternate dropping that leg down and lifting this one up as you go back and forth. As you do this, you're gonna wanna hold a strong, braced core the entire time. And what that means is, if I were to take my belly button and the top of my hip bone, and I were to put my 2 fingers and press them in between those 2 points, that it wouldn't be soft, that it would be nice and hard. So before you even do this, inhale, get those nice solid points. You can even put your fingers here if you wanna check as you go back and forth on this exercise. That should stay strong the whole time. You should never let your fingers fall into a soft area, okay? So practice this exercise slow and controlled. Again, driving the fingertips towards the ground, bracing the core, pushing the lower back into the ground, tall to the top of your head. Practice this until you feel like you can do it with perfect form, and then you can try the next variation of the progression to getting you to the V-up. All right, this next exercise is called reverse crunches with knees bent. This is super similar to the first variation, only it's a little bit more difficult on your core, which is what you'll see the entire time. Just making the exercise a little more difficult on each rep. So, lie down on the ground, lower back push on the ground, fingertips towards your heels, tall to the top of your head, brace the core. Now from there, you're going to keep your knees bent, and you're gonna do both of them at the same time. So bringing them close to your chest as you can, coming back down, tapping your toes, don't rest at the bottom, come back up, right? Inhaling as you go down, pressing the lower back into the ground right here, exhaling as you come up on every rep. So practice this one slow and controlled, and if you can keep your lower back glued to the ground, tall to the top of your head, your fingertips driven out on every single rep with your core braced, then move on to the next variation. All right, this is the next variation. It's called the 90-degree reverse crunch. And so just like the bent knee reverse crunches, we're gonna press our lower back into the ground. That's gonna be the key. If you can keep that in contact with the ground, then that means you're strong enough to go to the next level. If you can't, that means this is your level. Tall to the top of the head, fingertips pointed towards the ground, driving the shoulders down like this. Bring your feet together. Now this time, the only difference is instead of bending your knees all the way like this and doing the crunches, I want you to hold your legs at a 90-degree angle. Keep them there the entire time. Come down slow and controlled. Tap your heels to the ground, keeping the lower back driven in the ground, tall to the top of the head the entire time. And repeat that for reps. Inhaling as you go down, exhaling as you come up. Try not to bend your knees past that 90-degree angle, and that's gonna make sure that you get more strength so you can do the next variation. This variation is called the slightly bent leg raise. So just like the 90-degree reverse crunches, you're gonna lie down on your back, press your lower back into the ground. Remember to keep that press in the ground the whole time. That's the most important thing here. You're gonna drive your fingertips down towards the ground, only this time you're gonna make a diamond shape with your thumbs and your index fingers. So drive your fingers down, make that diamond shape, and make it underneath your tailbone. From there, bring your legs up to start this time with your knees slightly bent. Keep them at that bend the entire time. It shouldn't be 90 degrees. It shouldn't be fully straight. It should be somewhere right in between. From there, tall to the top of the head. Keep that lower back pushing the ground. Brace the core. Inhale as you come down. Tap your heels. Exhale as you come up. Repeat for reps, slow and controlled, really focusing right here on the bottom position of pushing your lower back into the ground the entire time. If you can still do this with perfect form, let's move on to the next variation. All right, this exercise is called the lying leg raise with hands under butt. So to do this, start on your back, press that lower back into the ground, make that same diamond shape with your hands, put it underneath your tailbone, press that lower back in the ground the whole time. I'm gonna say that 1,000 times here. Tall to the top of your head, brace your core. Now this time, you're going to straighten your legs all the way, squeeze your legs together, and point your toes. You're gonna come down as you inhale, trying to bring it so that your legs are about 6 inches off the ground, just a few inches off the ground, and then squeeze your core, bring them back up, and try to squeeze your thighs towards your belly, which is gonna get you that extra contraction at the top position. So again, inhale as you go down, exhale as you come up, and really working on that compression at the top is gonna give you the strength you need to be able to do the next few variations. Now the next one is just a slight modification, but if you can do this with your lower back pushing the ground, let's move on to that right now. Before I share the last few progressions of the V-Up with you, I wanted to mention that if you like the way we break down each exercise into various different levels, then make sure you click the link in the description below or check out warriormade.com. There you can try our progressive home workouts for free. And inside, you'll get follow-along workouts that you can do from the comfort of your own home. And just like in this video, we break every exercise down into simple progressions to make sure that you are doing the right exercises for your body and skill level. This way, you can lose weight and gain strength and confidence in a way that is safe and doesn't risk you getting injured. So just click the link below and you can try it for free. So this exercise is called the lying leg raise with hands out. It's just like the last variation, but instead of putting our hands underneath our butt in that diamond shape, we're gonna take our hands and we're gonna put them to the outside like this. So put your hands to the outside, drive the backs of your hands into the ground if you can, push your lower back into the ground, squeeze your core, tall to the top of your head, straighten your legs. Now from this position this time, so your hands aren't here anymore, your hands are to the outside and you're pressing your arms into the ground. Come down, slow and controlled. Lower back stays in contact all the way down, about 6 inches above the ground with your heels. Squeeze and come back up to the top position and repeat slow and controlled for reps. Inhale. Inhale. It gets harder and harder as we make the arms go more and more overhead. So practice that slow and controlled. And once you feel like you've got it, especially with that lower back press on the ground, go on to the next variation. All right, this variation is called the lying leg raise with hands overhead. And just like with hands to the outside, all we're gonna do is move our arms to the overhead position. You'll be surprised though, how much more difficult it is to do this exercise as you bring your arms up. So lower back gets pushed into the ground. Tall to the top of your head, brace that core. Remember to brace that core the whole time. Bring those legs straight, feet together, toes pointed, arms overhead. This time you can have your thumbs just right above the ground right here like this. Hold this position, come down. So your heels are about 6 inches off the ground, but your lower back is still pressed in the ground. If you can't keep it pressed in the ground, you went too far too fast. Come to the top position. Inhale as you go down, press that lower back. Come up, compress the core, repeat. Inhale, exhale. Woo, that's a good one. As you can see, this one is really gonna give you a lot of preparation for eventually being able to do that V-up with perfect form. Practice it slow and controlled, and then go on to the 8th variation, which is the last variation before we finally get to you practicing the V-up. This exercise is called the hollow tuck-up, and it's the last variation that you need to master before going on to the actual V-up. For this exercise, we're gonna start just like we did in the last exercise with the leg raise with the arms overhead. Only instead of just bringing our legs up this time, we're gonna bend our knees into our chest and try to come up to hug our knees. So it looks like this. Lower back pushing the ground, tall to the top of the head, arms overhead, thumbs are just grazing right above the ground right here. Legs up at the top position. Now come down to that bottom hollow position right here with that lower back pushed in. Only this time, come up, hug your knees, try to find your balance right here, where everything's just balancing on your tailbone. That's real important to work on that balance. And then come back down, slow and controlled, to the start position. Inhale here. Exhale here. So as you can see, you can work your balance and coordination a lot in this exercise. Come back down, slow and controlled, and repeat for repetitions. As you get better at it and more controlled at it, you can move a little bit faster. But at first, go slow and controlled and really practice the balance because that's what you're gonna need to be able to do that V-up with perfect form. So, since you've done all previous 8 variations, now you've earned the strength to be able to do the V-up. Make sure you practice all 8 of those variations first, but once you get that done, we can go back to the V-up, which again, starting just like the last few variations, legs out, arms overhead, lower back press to the ground, big inhale, come up to the top, big inhale, come up to the top, come down under control. Come up to the top, come down under control. And repeat for reps, inhaling as you come up and exhaling as you go down. And that way you can master one of the best home core exercises, the V-up. Great job going through this whole V-up progression. Here's how you know where to stop as you advance to harder variations. You want to make sure you pick the variation that felt hard for you, but that you could still do a few reps with perfect form. From there, you can add this exercise into your workouts and use the tried and true 3 sets of 10 reps rule, which means if you can do 3 sets of 10 reps of whatever variation of the V-up that you're currently working on, it's time to go to the next progression and start back at doing 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps. Over time, you can use this strategy to go from barely being able to do the first progression all the way to being able to do V-ups with perfect form. This way, you can finally have a strong core and a lean, flat belly. Speaking of which, if you want to learn more core exercises and try a sample 5-minute follow-along core routine, make sure you watch the next video, where I'll go over how to get abs in just 5 minutes. I'll see you there.